Hello, good morning. Chris Worden, First Business Rescue. So, I hope everybody had an enjoyable Christmas break. First day back in the office for many. I'm going to answer a question today that I get very, very regularly of directors of businesses that are struggling to stay afloat. And the question is, can I strike a company off that has debts? So it depends. Like many of these questions that are bandied about, you're not really meant to strike a company off that has debts. The strike-off process or the dissolution process is where a company is removed from the register at Companies House, and it can be used when a company's solvent, so you can afford to pay your debts off. You pay all the debts when they're due. You inform HMRC, do a final up-to-date accounts, and if you've got any money in the business, and say it's less than 25,000, you distribute that to the shareholders and file the DSO1 form, and the company is removed from Companies House. It is dissolved, no longer exists. But if your company's insolvent, so you can't afford to pay the debts when they fall due, you're not really supposed to use a strike-off procedure. What you're meant to do if your company's insolvent is go to a insolvency practitioner and go through a liquidation. But the problem that a lot of people have got at the moment, if they have no money to liquidate, liquidation is going to cost from about £4,000. A lot of people don't have that money. They've got no assets in the business. Now, if you have, say, some HMRC arrears, you have some supplier debts, and you have no way of paying a liquidator's fees, one of the things that you may be able to try is where you write to all your creditors and inform them that you are going to attempt to strike the company off at Companies House, and give them forewarning. And say something like this in the letter that, listen, if you would prefer, if you can pay for the liquidation costs, then, please pay to liquidate me. Now, the reality is if your business has no cash, it has no assets, so your creditor or the HMRC has no way of recovering any funds, it's highly likely that they'll allow you to strike the company off. But be warned, even though a company is struck off from the register, it can be reinstated at any point in the future by one of your creditors that wants to chase the money. So this is how you do strike a company off with debts. First of all, you go and file something called a DSO1 form. It will cost you £10, it might be £8 now, but you'll file it at Companies House. And you write to your creditors informing them that your business is going to go into, you are attempting to strike your company off from the register, and that you have no cash in the business and no assets to realise. Make sure that you send the letters registered post, so you've got proof that you've sent them. Then your strike-off will be advertised in the London Gazette, or the Scottish equivalent. And that's where your creditors, so the suppliers, the HMRC, will get the opportunity to object to your strike-off. And that's where they go, no, this is, we object to this company being dissolved. But if you have no cash and you have no assets, you've got no ability to pay for a liquidation, then in certain circumstances, I believe that your creditors, maybe the HMRC, will see no benefit in keeping your company open, and they'll allow it to be struck from the register. Again, you've got to be warned that it could be reinstated at any time going forward. Now, if you are on the company payroll, so you're registered for pay as you earn, you've been on it for over 2 years, it's almost certain you're going to be entitled to some type of director redundancy. Even if you've been on the payroll for 2 years, you could be getting £3,000 or £4,000, which you could use to cover the cost of liquidation. Because the right route for any business that is insolvent, cannot afford to pay its debts when they fall due, is to appoint a licensed insolvency practitioner and not to try and strike the company off. So if you're worried as to whether or not you can afford to pay a liquidator's fees, you may be entitled to director redundancy. The average claim's £9,000, but you won't get 9,000 if you've only been in service a couple of years. But as long as you've been on the books for over 2 years, you work a minimum of 16 hours a week, you will be able to claim director redundancy, and that should cover the cost of liquidation. Now, I want to finish on this. If you've taken a bounce back loan, you are not going to be able to use the strike-off route. There's a new law coming into force that basically stops people using this loophole. And I believe that this new law's been put in there to stop people from getting away with not paying bounce back loans. So if you've taken a bounce back loan, the only route that you're going to be able to use to close your company is an insolvency procedure. Because once your company goes into insolvency, it's only then can the bank claim the money from the government on your bounce back loan. So I hope this has made sense. This video is for you if you are thinking about trying to strike your company off with debt. It's not advisable, but there are some key things you need to remember. Make sure that you write to all your creditors, have proof that you wrote to them, letting them know that you intend to attempt to strike your company off from Companies House, and the company has no cash, no assets. But before you do that, if you've been on the payroll over 2 years, check whether you've got a director redundancy claim, which will cover the cost of liquidation in most cases. So I hope you found the video useful. My name is Chris Worden, First Business Rescue. If you would like to have a chat with one of our team here and see how we can assist you, please get in touch with us. All our advice is free, it's impartial, and it is in the strictest of confidence. I hope you have a lovely day. Thanks for your time. Goodbye.